good morning. This is an amazing event. It's one of my favorite things to attend. It's just because the fantastic people that come and the topics and the talks. So I know that you're going to have a great day. Last time I spoke at CyberWARCON, I was leading NSA's Cybersecurity Collaboration Center, and I was really focused on the agency's open private sector relationships to secure the defense industrial base and its service providers. In June of this year, as John said, I assumed my new role as the Cyber Command Executive Director. That's the third in command, highest ranking civilian, so it's been a really awesome experience to be able to work with the military, where I lead one of the nation's most unique functional combatant commands as it directs, synchronizes, and coordinates cyberspace operations globally. This move has been exciting, and luckily, I'm working with a lot of the same talented and dedicated individuals in a very similar mission space. Today, I want to share an update since I last spoke at this conference on the threat posed by the People's Republic of China to our cybersecurity and national security. How we at US Cyber Command have elevated this conversation from the tactical to the operational and strategic, and what we're doing about this threat, particularly in our partnerships with other nations and industry, our impact, and where we are headed. We are at a crossroads between cybersecurity and national security. I think we all recognize the fundamentally different environment in which we operate every single day. It's one that continually grows in complexity and speed, and it's where conflict is no longer simply defined by land, air, or sea, but includes space and cyberspace. As we approach this critical juncture, the Department of Defense and the intelligence community remain intently focused on our strategic priorities and drive forward with increased determination to address the threat and other threats posed by the People's Republic of China as our pacing challenge. Last year, I stood in front of all of you and I talked about NSA's perspective of the People's Republic of China hacking our critical infrastructure, pre-positioning in places where they could create societal panic at a time of their choosing. I emphasize how this was unacceptable. We talked about living off the land operations, what we know and why it's important, hiding in plain sight, where no longer could we have the conversation of just pass me the indicator list or the YARA role. It wasn't that simple. And then we talked about how the People's Republic of China was building multiple covert networks to be able to transverse and move through our US critical infrastructure to be able to get into these targets. And then lastly, we called about the lessons learned, how we knew that it would take all of us, everyone in the private sector, everyone in the government, to be able to tackle this problem. So where are we today with this threat? Volt Typhoon activity continues to be identified in the open press, and we're still continuing to see it. We see articles now from FBI about how they've been able to take down some of these covert networks used by the People's Republic of China. And we have fantastic industry partners releasing blogs like the Black Lotus blog on how they're taking down and looking and characterizing these covert networks. That collective understanding of the threat has made us stronger. Together, NSA, US Cyber Command, and our partners continue to leverage unique insights into activity like Volt Typhoon to paint a robust threat picture, develop counter-operation to disrupt that picture, and build the resilience we need across the globe to keep our information and people secure. There's a new threat in the news. It's called Volt Typhoon. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it. Couple of quick points. The US government and industry has been warning about the People's Republic of China targeting of telecommunication providers worldwide for years. NSA, CISA, and FBI published a cybersecurity advisory on this topic in 2022, titles People's Republic of China State-Sponsored Cyber Actors Exploit Network Providers and Devices. If you have not read it, go check it out. This CSA includes descriptions of their targeting of telecommunication providers and network service providers to identify critical users and infrastructures to further their access. They leverage techniques like exploiting unpatched or misconfigured systems and abusing stolen or brute force credentials to obtain access. With established access to a provider, they can copy traffic transversing implanted devices and tunnel it out of the network for collection. These actors use the network to exploit a wide variety of targets worldwide, including public and private sector organizations. Additional details of observed tradecraft of this activity and recommended mitigations can be found within this advisory. This is something that we've been tracking. This threat highlights the risk posed by these providers and drives home the importance of keeping systems patched to limit exposure initially. It also highlights the need to maintain a robust sense of what is normal activity within the network to be able to identify misuse of valid credentials and privileged accounts. Bottom line, in a world of juggling priorities, limited resources, and being asked to do more with less, our adversaries have sought economies of scale to accomplish their goals in cyberspace. They continue to target the backbone infrastructure and services that are critical to our way of life. And again, let's not forget about Flax Typhoon, Storm 2007, Liminal Panda, or any of the other PRC-associated intrusions. And if you're one of those people that loves the intrusion set matrix naming, go to town. But we have collectively identified and characterized over the years, not to mention, which you'll hear about later, the PRC information operations, which one partner calls Glassbridge. That will be discussed at the conference later today. So here's my charge to all of you and all of our partners in what we're looking at in terms of the US government, is to not only to continue to identify and expose these PRC cyber operations, but also to take a step back, rising above the metaphorical storms, if I might say, or the crisis of the day, to analyze the comprehensive campaign of the PRC in the cyber domain. At the operational level, as I mentioned before, China continues to maneuver in US critical infrastructure in order to pre-position within these networks in the event of a conflict. Volt Typhoon has targeted so many different types of sectors and organizations: communications, manufacturing, utility, transportation, construction, maritime, government, information technology, and education sectors. Every sector. Additionally, we continue to see China compromising those small office home routers for use in botnets every single day. They can be used in DDoS attacks or to compromise US networks while concealing their identities, as was detailed in multiple cybersecurity advisories and industry blogs. These actors then use these botnets to conceal their identities by deploying DDoSes or compromising additional networks. And this level of compromise provides access to a wide spectrum of cyberspace terrain. So let's step back to the strategic level. At the strategic level, China is integrating cyber operations into its military planning to gain an advantage in the event of a major crisis or conflict with the US. Simple statement. The development of the PRC cyber warfare capabilities is consistent with the People's Liberation Army writings dating back to the early 2000s, which identify information operations comprising cyber, electronic warfare, space, and psychological warfare as integral to achieving information superiority early in a conflict as a means to counter a stronger foe. Us. The PLA is pursuing next-generation combat capabilities based on its vision of future conflict, which it calls intelligized warfare, defined by the expanded use of AI and other advanced technologies at every level of warfare. The PRC is setting the conditions and pursuing initiatives that give them the military, technological, and economic advantage for guaranteed success in the anticipation of a crisis or conflict with the West. They further set these conditions by holding our US critical infrastructure at risk, infiltrating telecommunications, cloud, and managed service providers for mass exploitation or to further enable their access into end targets. They target allies and partners like Taiwan, NGOs, and think tanks, as well as have demonstrated decades of exploiting the defense industrial base and stealing our intellectual property. PRC actors will not and are not stopping because it is part of their overarching national objectives. And cyber has become one of their most powerful levers of national power. As I mentioned last year, when I was here, I spoke about the fact that the PRC and our critical infrastructure. Some of my media colleagues characterized it as saying that we were stressed. I'm not stressed, I'm mad. We often spend so much time talking about the threat and our vulnerabilities and not enough time on what we're doing to respond. Our adversaries are not 10 feet tall, we are. The US cybersecurity industry, all of you in this room, the US and allied governments and global partners have come together in new and more innovative ways to hunt and eradicate PRC cyber actors out of networks with amazing success. So while our adversaries are determined and persistent, they are not invincible. In turn, over the past few years, the US government has also started to fine-tune and exercise our muscles and flex our processes for how we bring to bear all the tools of national power. We have executed globally synchronized activities, both offensively and defensively minded, that are laser-focused on degrading and disrupting PRC cyber operations worldwide. And you've seen it as well in the press. Public exposures, sanctions, indictments, law enforcement actions, cybersecurity advisories with multiple seals. Examples near and dear to my heart include partner nations collaborating in the cyber domain to protect their networks, discovering new threats and sharing that information to combat this malicious cyber activity. Cybersecurity partners collaborate to conduct these synchronized parallel efforts to identify malicious cyber activity on select networks and share tactics, techniques, and procedures to build capabilities and enforce future defenses against these shared adversaries. In particular, US Cyber Command's strategy of persistent engagement in cyberspace with our adversaries, it involves continuous execution of the full spectrum of cyberspace operations to achieve and maintain cyberspace superiority, build resilience at home, defend forward, and contest adversary campaigns and objectives. This is happening today, 24/7, 365. Our adversaries do not sleep, but neither do we. Focusing distinctly on DoD networks, Cyber Command has deployed defensive cyber professionals across the globe, searching for, identifying, mitigating, and sharing publicly known malware and associated variations. Our partnership operations provide allied defensive cyber professionals with a dedicated effort to improve processes, readiness, and coordination with our broader unified action partners. These activities will be used to assess the value and enduring advantage of partnerships to meet the ever-evolving cyber threat. Over the past year, the Cyber National Mission Force has deployed over 85 times to more than 30 countries, conducting missions on over 80 networks to detect adversary techniques to protect US and partner network defenses. Throughout those hunts, we have enhanced warning, we have gained early access to adversary techniques and tactics, we have improved defense, and we've demonstrated deterrence through collective defense with partners. By building strategic partnerships, like many of those in the room, we have made partners a harder target, and we've contributed to global cybersecurity. The benefits of our cyber operations extend beyond the US to include our allies and partners. Defending away is defending at home because global cybersecurity is national security. Global cybersecurity helps us execute one of our core missions at Cyber Command, for those of you that are not familiar, to secure, operate, and defend the DoD Information Network. The DoD Information Network is immense in both scope and scale. This is the network that DoD uses to communicate global synchronization of operations and to move our forces from one place to another. It is the third largest grouping of computer networks in the world. So to give you an idea, it's the US, China, DoDIN. 4 million computers, 3 million global users, and 145 mobile devices at any point in time. I'm sure there's a lot more than that. On any given day, there are 798 cybersecurity events on DoDIN. I'm sorry, take that back. 798 million cybersecurity events on DoDIN. 23.5 million marketing and phishing emails blocked, and 194 million malicious cyber attacks attempted. 194 malicious cyber attacks attempted on any given day. That's a ton of activity. It's a ton of work. Our network defenders have observed persistent attempts to access DoD forward-facing web servers. And while most of those attempts have been unsuccessful, network defenders have executed instant response and subsequent hardened actions. Freudian slip, right? All good. To address the future risk of PRC cyber operations against DoD, Cyber Command is aggressively pursuing zero trust systems and policies, in addition to implementation of cloud-based extended detection and response solutions to provide high-fidelity telemetry for endpoints and identity credential transactions. So zero trust is very important for us when you have a network that big. Additionally, mitigations under development include further remote monitoring of network appliances and additional multiple factor authentication. So I've talked a little bit about how we're leveraging our partnerships, how we're leveraging our understanding of defending our networks to better understand the adversary, but I want to talk a little bit more about partnerships. It's not just about our partnerships with other nations through hunt-forward operations that increase the complexity of the vast DoD landscape and beyond. We also partner and enable the other combatant commands to strengthen their networks and partnerships in support of our core Cyber Command mission, which is supporting the joint force. So when you think about PRC cyber actors, you instantly think about US Indo-Pacific, Indo-PACOM. They leverage our hunt forward operations by conducting independent advise and assist missions, and theater security cooperation activities in parallel are following hunt forward operations. The information and experience gleaned from our hunt forward operations enhances the cybersecurity posture of Indo-Pacific nations against ever-changing threats. Additionally, Indo-PACOM developed an integrated multinational cyber information sharing and training environment. I'm sure that's a beautiful acronym because DoD loves their acronyms. A comprehensive cybersecurity information sharing and training platform designed to enhance a partner nation cybersecurity posture. So how do we come together in a space to better understand the threats and get after it? And Indo-PACOM will continue to integrate cyber into their partner activity, including defensive cyber operations in their regional exercises. That includes working with Australia, Indonesia, Japan, Malaysia, Singapore, and the Republic of Korea. And in this US Southern Command area of responsibility, where the PRC is exploiting a fragile security environment to advance its own malign agenda, we support Joint Combat Command cyber assistant teams as they develop flexible, rapidly deployable, responsible groups of subject matter experts capable of providing defensive cybersecurity assistance to partner nations, upon request or directive, with a focus on cybersecurity and network security. These teams deploy quicker to partner nations, helping them assess and understand their strengths and weaknesses, identifying potential solutions, and developing a plan of action for continued activities that could span over a number of years. And we know that our partners in the US government understand the importance of cybersecurity and digital cooperation. One example is the Department of State emphasized those efforts in a release last year where they agreed to work with Paraguay on ways to attain its digital and secure its digital infrastructure goals. Both the United States and Paraguay recognize the importance of building a trusted, resilient, and secure digital ecosystem. Today, we see US Southcom strengthening its partnership with Paraguay in the cyber domain through a significant security cooperation initiative, illustrating a commitment in the region that will continue to enhance our collective cybersecurity. At US Cyber Command, we integrate cyberspace security operation activities into our campaign plan, coordinating with the other combatant commands. And across all of our assigned missions, Cyber Command postures the cyber mission force to help build the capacity of allies and partners, nations to employ a range of cyberspace capabilities and conduct combined and coordinated cyberspace operations in competition, crisis, and conflict. We're committed to forging ahead with partners in the DoD and with our foreign allies and partners as we seek to address our shared cyber threats. It's Friday. We need good news on a Friday. The good news is all of these activities were having effect. I know because we see it both publicly and in our own sources. Threat actors are changing their tradecraft, they're second-guessing their operations, and they're abandoning their infrastructure. Publicly, we see the PRC regularly respond to US disclosures of malicious activity by using officials in state-controlled media to deny any accusations, while asserting that the United States is using these claims to smear China's reputation and to cover up its own malicious cyber activity. I mean, Volt Typhoon was ransomware. Really appreciated everyone's memes on that one. As recently as last month, Chinese state newspapers responded to press reports describing Chinese activity against the US telecom sector as the US fabricating a new narrative to smear China's reputation. From our own hunt forward operations, We have seen partners setting up, with our assistance, their own cybersecurity teams that are leveraging threat intelligence to drive defensive operations, full spectrum. Real-time disruption of adversary activities on our partners' networks, and the securing of our partners' networks to include driving independent partner decisions to exclude Chinese technology such as Huawei. As with last year, this will continue to be a fight, and it will continue to rely on the collective we. One of the ways we continue to strengthen our collective defense is through our operational collaboration with the private sector, with all of you in this room. For Cyber Command, that means we continue to leverage our partnerships through our Under Advisement program in the Cyber National Mission Force and through our allies in the Hunt Forward operations. Through Under Advisement, our UNAD, our team works with industry partners to bilaterally share threat information. This ranges from passing signatures to directly collaborating with partners on analysis at the unclassified level. This team continues to expand its engagement with industry, having grown the number of partners by about 50% since the start of 2024. Our Defend the Nation mission is challenging, and the willingness of our partners to work with the CNMF through UNAD is a critical enabler and helps us all combat foreign malicious cyber activity. A message I've shared often, commercial partners and the capabilities often provide insight regarding specific information spaces or technologies related to foreign malicious cyber actors. You guys are going to do a lot of that today. Whether that's on social media or on the dark web, infrastructure activity on the internet, cryptocurrency activity, malicious command and control traffic, or something else. When this unique information and expertise meets the mission need, our Under Advisement team answers the call to rapidly put those insights to operational use. You can't always see it, but it's happening. Recent examples include AI-enabled contextualization of foreign language posted by actors and their proxies, and reducing the noise of the internet to focus on specific threat actors during Defend Forward operations. Fusing this vast array of information into operational capabilities helps us engage and counter our nation's adversaries. Additionally, our Hunt Forward teams leverage modern hardware platforms and AI models on specialized systems. This type of rapid development and employment highlights the collaboration between our Artificial Intelligence Task Force and our Hunt Forward teams as they work together to defend critical networks around the globe. So in closing, we live in a dramatically changing world where no entity working in isolation will have all that is required to respond to emerging threats or to create and exploit fleeting opportunity. This advantage will go to those best postured to work in collaboration with others. And this is CYBERWARCON, right? So it's no more that I get to say this in my own role, in my new role. Cyberspace is a war-fighting domain, and it is foundational to everything the Department of Defense does to protect our nation. This includes everything from command and control, logistics, information warfare, and defending our critical networks and systems. Cyber Command and our partners are engaging our adversaries every day in cyberspace, shaping the domain, and defending against adversaries while innovating with technology. We will continue to leverage all the tools at our disposal to create advantage for the joint force, the DoD, our partners at home and abroad, and our nation. We believe that our partnerships are the competitive edge that we have over our adversaries. The relationships we're building today allow us to achieve agility, scale, and speed that would not otherwise be available to us. There's still a lot to do, but this is where we can press our advantage in cyberspace. Let's not give up our opportunity in the digital era to work together and make a difference. So I'll end by reiterating my charge to this group. The cybersecurity industry is and continues to be the key to detecting and uncovering these PRC cyber operations, targeting our US and allied interests. Please do not stop. As partners, the US government continues to identify and rapidly share information as soon as we can. But PRC cyber actors understand the value of leveraging the cyber domain to get what they want, regardless of target or technique. But we, the US government, and all of you in this room, in the US private sector, are faster, stronger, and more equipped to counter them using all of our capabilities and authorities. Collective defense between US government and industry is how we win. I hope that you have the most fantastic day, that you keep John as sane as possible, that the power stays on. I'm doing that for John. There you go. that he does not have to bring the batteries out of his car, because that would be terrifying, and that you just continue to collaborate and share information with each other, because that is truly how we identify and characterize these threats, and most importantly, we take them down. Have a great day.